Everybody with Angela Williamson is made possible by Fireheart Pictures and viewers like you. Thank you. Dreams are connected to the source of your motivation. It can clarify what your vision is and can empower you when you hit roadblocks. So I want to ask you, what is your dream? Tonight, we are going to meet a person that's going to tell us how she used her dreams to create abundance in her life and in her business. I'm so happy you're joining us.
From Los Angeles, this is KLCS PBS. Welcome to Everybody with Angela Williamson, an innovation, arts, education, and public affairs program. Everybody with Angela Williamson is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. And now your host, Dr. Angela Williamson.
Kate, thank you so much for being here and being part of this wonderful transformation series that we're having in beautiful Santa Barbara. I mentioned in my opening about how dreams can really change your journey. Can you share a little bit about how you work dreams into your journey?
Absolutely. I have been a big dreamer ever since I was little. I was this kid that I would run to the mailbox when I was younger, and I would actually go through the free advertisements that would come in the mailbox because I came from very frugal beginnings. And so we didn't have, People magazine or anything like that coming to the house. So I would go through all of the free ads and I would cut out pictures that would represent things that I wanted to put in my dream book. And I had one of those 3-ring binders. I don't know if you remember having one of those, and they had those very special pages inside that I could peel off, stick my pictures in, put it back down, right?
Oh, wow. You're going back in the day.
I am. And this was before I even realized what I was doing. This was before vision boards were mainstream, or I had a language around the fact that I was being clear about my dreams or that I was visualizing what would come. And, my brother was out playing basketball and jailbreak that was like the tag back then, right? And I was in my room creating a dream book. So I have always been a very, very big dreamer. It led me to a lot of different places in my life, but I will let you know that there is a point in my life where I became complacent. I started to check off the boxes, if you will. I don't know if anybody out there can relate to this, but I just started to do what I thought I should be doing or what was expected of me. And all of a sudden I was doing things just to check a box, right? Or just to be in the lane that I thought I was supposed to be in. And there became a point where the universe started to wake me up. And I was getting physical reactions, to this life that I was living. And this was in my mid to late 20s. I had a great job. I was working in corporate. I was making really good money at the time. And it was just fine, but it really wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, and it certainly wasn't me fulfilling my wildest, biggest dream. And so I started to feel physically that this wasn't right for me, but I couldn't identify what that was at the time, right? So I would just stuff it until it got to the point where I couldn't ignore it any longer. And I started to experience things in my body that had me go to a cardiologist. And when I went to that first appointment, they basically said, we are getting you in for emergency surgery, that we don't know that you'll make it that long, because you have a condition that your heart beats too much too fast, and we are going to get you through all of the testing that we possibly can because we need to get you in for heart surgery immediately. And I thought to myself, what is going on? I'm 27 years old now at the time, and here I am being faced with the fact that I might not have any more time. And I can tell you that at this age in your life, right, being presented that young with something so permanent, it really, really shifted things for me. And so this is really where my dream started to crystallize, by saying, okay, if I only have this short amount of time left in my life, right, or if I can really start to see that life is as precious as they say, right? I got to feel it in that moment that life was really that precious. I started to say, what have I not done yet? And then all of a sudden I said, you know what? I really want to share my life with someone. I really wanted to become a mother. I wanted to have children. So I started on this path, right? Of, I went on, I got married, I poured into my children. We ended up having 2 beautiful girls. I went on to show up really big in my career. But then it happened again. I was standing in the middle of my house and I was looking around and I was going, oh, wow, I showed up really big in every other area of my life. But there wasn't one area of my life at that time that I was showing up big for myself. And that was the turning point in my life, because I was looking at my 2 younger daughters and I could see what was capable for them. I could see the dreams that I wanted for them and what I knew that they were truly capable of fulfilling for their life. But I wasn't really showing up for those big dreams that I had when I was a little girl. And it was at that point that everything changed for me. Because what I realized is that I will be completely transparent. I couldn't do it for myself. But it was when I was doing it for my children that I could really start showing up fully in my dreams. And that's actually what led me to write my first book. And it is what set me on the trajectory that I am on today.
There are so many questions that I have based on that story, because you showed us in your story that a young Kate had these dreams. I mean, so much that you were vision boarding before people were even doing that.
That's
you were
right.
creating that. And then, but that little girl somehow in your life, just those dreams got lost until you got another wake-up call.
Right.
And so my question to you, because you just told us that you realized, oh, this is my wake-up call. You started walking in your dream again, but then you lost it again. How do we end up losing our dreams? I mean, what happens when we lose our dreams?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the first time I went down this path, it was, I feel like, the conditioning of what it was supposed to look like without me really asking myself, are you showing up authentically in this, or are you just kind of going along, right, with everyone else and what is expected of you, or, what you think you should be doing or what you think it should look like? That's what I was doing the first time. I did get a wake-up call, and those were dreams that I had. But the second path, if you will, I realized that I made my dreams about everyone else. And I wasn't actually making my dreams about what was inside of me. And those were part of my dreams, but there was more to it. When I first had children, I felt so guilty for saying that I wanted more. I thought, I have 2 beautiful children, they are healthy, and I have a great family. Why am I looking for more? Why am I asking for more? Like, that should be enough. That should be enough. And it took me, again, realizing like I would never want my children to ever stop. Like, they get to continue to grow. They get to continue to have dreams. They get to reach as far as possible for their lives. And that was the wake-up call for me. How can I expect them to go after their biggest, their wildest dreams for themselves if I could not do that for myself? And so I got off track by putting my happiness in other people, by putting my fulfillment into things that were outside of myself. And it wasn't until I truly went in to really identify authentically with what made me fulfilled and happy that things really started to come together.
When you went back to the drawing board and decided that I want to create this dream because I want my girls to dream big, and you did that with your first book, I would love for you to tell our audience about that first book. It's incredible.
Thank you so much. Our first book is called More Than Mud, and it's a children's book that teaches children how to make muddy moments magical, which is basically a way for children to understand the power of positive thinking, and really takes mindset tools and techniques and it translates them into a language that children can understand. And so the first book was really about me saying, if I could really authentically show up in my dreams, I want to teach my children the way that I've always looked at life. I want to go back to that dream book as a kid, and I want to teach my children that they always have the power of choice, that they can always turn around a muddy situation, right? That they can always have this power of perspective to understand that life is working for them in every situation, even when it might look muddy at the time. And so this is what that first book was about. And what happened when I wrote this book for my children is that other mothers said, we've been waiting for a book like this. And that book ended up staying on the bestseller charts for over 100 weeks straight. And I knew that that only happened because it was the point in my life where I let everything else go and I made the decision to truly show up as authentic me.
That is a perfect way to end our first segment. When we come back, you are going to tell us how you showing up for this book actually opened other doors and how you are now teaching a lot of other women to show up as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you stay tuned and come right back with my conversation with Kate Butler.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. I'm going to continue my conversation with Kate Butler as we talk about living your dreams and turning them into your reality. Well, when we left off, your story, you took us through a young Kate and to that one moment that you decided to change your life back and show up. And then the second moment when you decided, I'm going to show up for my children, and you turn out to write this best-selling children's book that's best-selling on the list for over 100 weeks,
Right.
which is incredible. But what I love about your story is how you turned your own personal experience and started pouring into others with this one children's book. So tell me what was happening with that children's book as you were promoting that.
Absolutely. And, I think it's important that we know it's a windy road to get to where we're going. And, that was the point of the first book, even for children, to let them know, embrace the windy roads and the bumps in the road and all of those things, because they're not going to go away. But it's really how we handle that turn and that bump, right? That creates the life that we see around us. And so with that book, I didn't realize or even have the forward thinking about it to say, who's going to be buying children's books? Well, it's moms, right? Women, grandmoms. And so these beautiful women were buying the children's book, reading the story to their children, and then they were contacting me and they were saying, my kids love this book. We have a little fun factor in the book. You get to find a hidden ladybug on every single page, right? So the kids love this book. And they were saying, but I feel like I am getting more out of this than the children. Do you do anything for adults? Do you have something for adults? And so this really got me thinking, okay, when enough people asked, I had to start listening. So when I got that wake-up call from the universe and had to have that heart surgery, I really started to listen to these signs from the universe, right? These winks that we get all throughout our life. And so I knew now at this point in my life how to listen, how to pay attention to those things and how to listen. This was another wink. And it said, wake up and listen to the feedback. Wake up and listen to what people are asking for and what people are telling you. And so what started to happen was I started to work with women. I started to do women's retreats, and we really started to embrace this transformation, this mindset of transformation. And we started to, as a community of hundreds of women, start to do the work that really transformed our lives. And once these women's lives transform, what is the first thing we want to do when we find, a great new shade of lipstick, right? Or we find
I like to share it, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for. I want to share it with everybody, and everyone should be getting the same lipstick.
Everyone should be getting the color, right?
Yes.
And so women wanted to share their transformation, what they had found, their journey. We connect through story, right?
Yes, yes.
And it was these stories that people wanted to share because they knew they hadn't gone through their journey, their windy, bumpy journey in vain. They knew that they had gone through this story or this transformation in their life in order to help someone else. And so we came together as a community and we started to write stories that encompass three things. The story either had to help, heal, or inspire. And that was the premise of our entire, what we now call our Inspired Impact book series. We are now on our 9th title in this #1 international best-selling book series. And it is a collection of stories from women just like you and just like me. And it is the real stories of the bumpy, windy roads and how women are using these stories to help someone else, to pull someone else up, give that helping hand when someone else needs it, so that the person reading the story can say, I am not alone. Someone else is going through this. Someone else has been through this, and they've gotten through this. And so maybe there is hope for me. And that's really the premise of this beautiful series. And what I really love about it is that I get to do it with people, that I get to do it with the power of the collective intention. And I really feel like it has created a beautiful movement, not only for the authors who are a part of it, but also for all of the people who have read it.
Oh, I can hear that story 100 times, and it's not just because I'm part of the series, but you're also a success coach. So I'm going to ask you to educate us on a few things that you told us in that wonderful story. First of all, what do you mean by wink? And can we miss those winks with maybe outside obstacles or internal obstacles? And then second, because you have changed so many people's lives with the power of story, do we underestimate the power of stories?
So I missed the winks for years, and that's why the universe had to say, stop. Like, there's something missing in your heart.
Yes.
I was not
That was
filled.
figuratively inlet.
Yes, of course. That wasn't lost on me after the fact.
I know.
That it was my heart that was in jeopardy. When I woke up from the surgery, the doctor was so excited to share with me that they had fixed my heart. And I remember just looking at her and smiling, and I think I even said it at the time because I was coming out of the anesthesia, right? I probably said whatever was on my mind. But I remember thinking to myself, I know my heart was fixed a long time before this because I've been woken up, like I've been given this second chance. And so thank you for fixing my physical heart, but I understand that it was fixing a lot more than that. And I had that awareness. I didn't have the awareness prior to that. I missed all the signs, right? That I was being woken up all along the way, but I kept stuffing it and stuffing it and stuffing it. So finally, I had to have a wake-up call that I could no longer stuff, and I had to address it. And so when I learned the lesson from that, right, then I started to become aware. I started to become in tune, right? I began to get clear every single day, recharge every single day. Sometimes that looks like journaling in the morning. Sometimes that looks like meditation. Sometimes it looks like prayer. To me, prayer is a conversation with my higher power. Meditation is a connection of receiving from my higher power. In other words, in prayer, I might be asking, and in meditation, I might be receiving. And so those are different things to me. And so each morning I sit and I say, how can I recharge today to make sure that I am aligned, showing up authentic each day in my path? And from that place, I'm able to be open to the miracles. I'm able to be open to the winks, right? The signs that are all along our way. They're everywhere. They're everywhere if we are willing to see them and also receive them. And that's the other piece of it as well. One of the best things I like to say, or my favorite things I think I'll say here, is that I teach my clients to say, I am open to all of the infinite miracles that are available to me today. And from that, you are able to see, be open, and receive. And it really can be that simple.
Oh my goodness. And so you start these transformation, call them transformation workshops or gatherings with moms, just like you, and you realize that these stories are so important. And you start to compile these stories in a series. Why do you think sometimes we don't realize the power of our own story?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that goes back to your other question, of course, is do we underestimate the power of story? I don't know that we underestimate the power of story, but I do believe that perhaps we don't take the time to get to know each other's story enough. Every single person has a story. Every single person has something to teach us. Every single person. And if we take the time to really tap into that and tune into that, it really can be extraordinary when you look for it, when you're open to receiving it. I have had people that have walked through the series, and people who have gone on to create radio shows and TV shows and write international best-selling children's books, and gone on to have beautiful podcast series and all these wonderful things, ways of getting their messages out to the masses, right? But I have also had people that have been equally successful in the fact that in sharing their story to help someone else have said, I have finally healed. I have finally healed my wounds. This has been the most cathartic thing I could have done by translating my story in a way that can help someone else through their journey. And so I think that there is so much power in story. It's really where we all connect, because we, right at the core, we all are so much alike. We want to be understood. We want to be acknowledged.
Yes.
We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We want fulfillment. And in my belief, we all have greater dreams for our life. And you get to have that. You don't have to feel guilty for wanting more. We always are going to grow with life, right?
Yes.
And so you can either let life happen, right? Or you can lean into that growth, and you can really co-create, right? To allow your greatest dreams to become your reality.
So I'm watching this show right now, and I've heard your story, and now I feel that I'm ready to tell my story. What advice can you give the person, how they can start to tell their story, and how maybe you can help bring that story out of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't realize when I wrote my first book how many people out there actually have a dream of writing a book. I went on to find out that over 80% of the people in the United States that were polled, over 80% of the people actually had a dream of writing a book, but less than 10% actually do it. And that blew me away, honestly. That statistic really blew me away. And so I did have a dream of writing a book. And when other people came to me with their dream of writing a book, I said, let's do this together. Let's pull together the resources. And I had already had a team of people that were taking people through the writing process and the editing process and understood how to do the publishing, right? And so we created this beautiful platform where all someone had to do was show up and write the story from their heart. which is really what people want to do. They don't want to know how to edit the book or how to publish it or how to market it, right? They just want to show up and share their story so it can help heal or inspire. And so we've created this platform. It's a 6-month journey that we love to take people on that allows them to show up, share and tell their story, connect into a beautiful community of people that are like-minded just like them, and become a best-selling author, fulfilling that dream through the process.
And I love that you said it's a 6-month journey, but I'll be honest, it doesn't feel that way, because you are now connecting with at least 29 other women who you all have the same like mind.
Right.
And so my question to you is, you've told so many stories. I mean, you're in book number 9, so I'm not even going to try to do the addition of how many stories that you have helped tell over this journey. What's one feedback or one person's story that's come back to you that you realize, I'm so happy I paid attention to the wink and opened up this universe for others?
So there have been a lot of very touching moments, feedback that I've received from authors, and people have sent me pictures of them holding their books, next to their grandfather, and his dream for her, was to share the story. I've also had women that have come to me, and they have had generational healing through their daughter, through their granddaughter, through their great-granddaughter, because they've shared the story and healed something from the family or from the past, right, through sharing the story and, really coming through the other side of it. And it not only allowed them to show up differently in their life, but again, it went ahead and healed and changed generations to come. So it's emotional. Obviously, you can see it's very personal to me, and there is a lot of tangible success that happens. You get to hold your #1 international best-selling book, right? You get to go on to expand in your career and expand in your platform, and wherever you want to take it, it's all possible. It's all possible. But for me, what's really, really meaningful is when the lives change. When their life changes because they're showing up and sharing this story, they're healing themselves, they're healing their family, they're healing someone else that is reading this story. For me, that is what keeps me going, and that's really what binds us all together.
Kate, thank you so much for showing up, paying attention to all your winks, and opening the door for so many women out there to share their stories to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for watching Everybody with Angela Williamson. Viewers like you make this show possible. Follow us on social media to continue this conversation. Good night and stay well.